Today, we're taking on one of the biggest cold cases of all time. It's a mystery that's literally written into our DNA and echoes in our oldest, most sacred stories. We're launching an investigation to find the very first human. I mean, really think about it. Who was the first human? Where did they come from? Did they just pop into existence one day, fully formed? Or was it a slow, gradual process that took millions of years? That's the core question we're digging into. All right, every good investigation needs evidence, so we're opening two massive case files. First up is science, with its hard evidence, clues locked away in ancient bones and coded deep inside our DNA. And right next to it, we have case file #2 faith, which is all about testimony, the stories and scriptures passed down through generations. Each one has a very different story to tell. Let's crack open that first file, science. And right away, we hit a twist. According to the evidence, the story of the first human isn't about a single person or a single moment. Nope, it's this incredible, sprawling journey, a 7 million-year epic that kicks off in Africa. So, let's trace the path, right? This wasn't a quick sprint, it was a marathon. It all starts about 7 million years ago. That's when our family tree branched off from our chimp cousins. Then, over millions of years, you see these huge leaps. Our ancestors start walking on 2 feet, a total game changer. Then Homo habilis comes along, making the very first stone tools. After that, Homo erectus figures out fire. And then, finally, around 300,000 years ago, we show up. Homo sapiens, modern humans, us. And let's pause on that fire thing for a second, because it is a huge deal. I mean, it's not just about staying warm. Cooking food completely changed everything. Suddenly, our bodies didn't have to work so hard just to digest a meal. And all that leftover energy? It had to go somewhere. Well, it went right upstairs, fueling a bigger, more complex, and frankly, power-hungry brain. Okay, so if it's all about this gradual evolution, does science have anyone we can point to as a kind of first? Well, not in the way you might think, but genetics gives us this incredible concept called mitochondrial Eve. Get this. Scientists have figured out that every single person living today, you, me, everyone, can trace our mother's line all the way back to a single woman in Africa about 200,000 years ago. Now, and this is super important, she wasn't the only woman alive, but just by pure chance, her maternal lineage is the only one from that time that has survived all the way to us. All right, let's put a pin in the science file for a moment and open up case file #2, faith. And wow, is it a different story. If science talks about a slow million-year crawl, faith traditions from all over the globe talk about something totally different. A sudden flash, a divine spark, a single miraculous moment when humanity was brought into being. And what's amazing is how many different versions of the story there are. In Hindu texts, the first humans literally spring from the creator god Brahma. The Abrahamic stories, you probably know this one. Adam is made from clay and Eve from his rib. In Chinese myths, the goddess Nuwa actually sculpts people out of yellow earth. And in Nordic sagas, the first 2 humans were made from a couple of trees. It's this beautiful tapestry of origin stories. So, on one hand, you have this long, slow, evolutionary journey. On the other, instant divine creation. They seem like they're on opposite ends of the universe, right? But what if they're not? What if, when you put the 2 case files side by side, you start to see these little echoes, these surprising moments where they almost connect? Okay, check this out. So many of those religious texts say that humanity was formed from the dust of the ground, right? From clay. Well, what does science say? It says our bodies are made up of things like carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. And where do those elements come from? They come from the earth, from the literal stardust that created our planet. So in a way, both perspectives are telling us the same thing. We came from the earth. They're just using a different vocabulary. Now, let's not get carried away. While there are cool overlaps, the fundamental difference is still huge. Faith describes a single powerful moment of creation, an instant. Science, on the other hand, describes a process, a slow, winding road that took millions of years. So yeah, while the what, being made of earth, is similar, the how and the when are just worlds apart. And this is where our investigation gets really interesting, because we're now at the point where both of our case files, science and faith, start to go a little quiet. We've reached the truly cold cases, the big, unanswered questions at the heart of what it means to be us. I think the biggest one has to be consciousness. Seriously, when did it happen? At what point did one of our ancestors stop just being and start knowing they were being? When did they first think, I am me? Science has a name for it, the cognitive revolution. You know, when language, art, and abstract thought just exploded onto the scene. And faith? Faith calls it the moment the soul entered the body. It's wild, right? Two totally different ways of describing the same incredible, unexplainable event. And that mystery of consciousness is tied right into something you've probably heard of, the missing link. The fossil record is amazing, but it's not perfect. We have fossils of the creatures that came before us, and obviously we have us. But that one specific, crystal clear moment, the exact point where a pre-human animal became a fully self-aware human, that's still a bit of a blur. So where does that leave us? We've looked at the science, we've looked at the faith. What's the verdict in our investigation? You know, maybe the answer isn't a name or a face. Maybe the answer is the legacy, the thing that was passed down through all those generations, living inside every single one of us right now. Just think about the journey we've been on. It started with a spark, maybe a literal one with fire, maybe a metaphorical one. That spark of curiosity led us to build tools, then cities, then entire civilizations, all from the dust of the ground. And that same exact spark, it's what's pushing us today to launch ourselves off this planet and reach for the stars. It's an unbroken chain. So maybe these two case files, science and faith, aren't actually competing. Maybe they're two sides of the same coin. It's like science gives us the incredible history of our physical bodies, and faith tries to tell us the purpose of our inner selves, our souls. And maybe, just maybe, you need both to get the full picture, to really understand the complete story of humanity. So in the end, whether our first ancestor evolved in the African savanna or was awakened in a mythical garden, their legacy isn't an answer. It's a question. We've gone from shaping clay to reaching for the cosmos, but the question that kicked off the whole journey is still the one we ask ourselves. Every time we look up at the stars and wonder about our place in it all, we're asking, who are we? And maybe, asking that question is what makes us human in the first place.